when I think about our year, even the planning we've tried to do, it's going to be like the best kind of messy. Like there's not really a way to put a deep structure around this year. And so with Instagram and social media bombarded with all of these tools and tricks and downloadable lists of things, and everybody's got a system, but the truth of it is, and this, like most resolutions are done after week 1. And so, I think the challenge for us has been creating a plan that is a framework, but then having enough flexibility within that when it changes, and it will change, we can change with it.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 25 of The Age of Lions. So glad that you're here today. Starting off a new year. It's super exciting. It's hard to believe that we are at 25 episodes already. And as promised, as you just heard in the opening segment there, this week's special guest, very special guest, is none other than my wife, Jinda Clement. Many of you heard her a couple months ago when we did an episode on the power of your story. And today we're really taking advantage of this season and talking about what it is to enter this new year, really focused on what God has for you, how to set goals, talking about the New Year's resolution thing that people do, what we kind of do instead of that. Not that it's better or worse, but just something different, kind of a different approach we take. We're going to talk about some questions we ask each other to help kind of make that transition from one year to the next that are a little bit different, and will help you think about things in a different kind of way. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. Hey, before we do anything else, I just want to remind you to, on whatever platform you're listening or watching, please like the episodes you're engaging with, subscribe to those channels, comment on those episodes. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. Love to know how these things are impacting you, what you're learning, questions you might have. Hey, why didn't you talk about this? Whatever's on your mind, we want to hear from you, because this is not about us telling you what to do or how to do. It's us on the journey alongside you, trying to understand for ourselves, how can we grow? How can we age with purpose? How can we find the calling that God has for us as we go into this season of life in our 50s and our 60s, our 70s and beyond, and do it really, really well, leaving legacy, impacting the kingdom, etc. So make sure you're engaging with us in community. Also, you can find us on theageoflions.com. I said it's actually ageoflions.com. No, the. And you can go there. You can find out more about the podcast itself, what we're all about. And you can also engage with our mailing list there, get involved there, where you might get an occasional text from us or an email. We don't blow you up with those kind of things. We just want to keep you in the loop from time to time on things that are going on. And we're kind of building that community there. We'd love to have you be part of that. So without further ado, let's dive in with Jinda Clement. Hey, love, how are you today?
I'm great. Happy 25th episode to you and your podcast.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. Also, the 25th episode, the one that I had nailed you to early on.
Basically, I committed. I should have said, I will attend the 25th podcast if I haven't attended any prior podcasts, but I couldn't dream of myself attending prior podcasts. And so here we are.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. You committed, and you're a woman of your word. And so I held you to it.
Mark it down.
And I was so excited to have you come back and talk some more. Your episode, I don't mind saying this, it's one of the most listened to episodes we've had. It's the most listened to episode we've had, and like the second or third most watched episode on YouTube. So it was amazing.
I think people were just in shock that I was even on there.
Maybe.
For those of you listening, this is not really my jam.
That's right.
But I do love you. And so here I am.
You do love me, and I'm so grateful for that. And but you have quite a fan base. I mean, let's just be honest. You've reached a whole new demographic, because normally it's mostly adults our age and older ish. And I think you brought a lot of college students into the mix who work on your team, and they're your people. So, yeah. I don't know how many of them have listened, but I think it's a lot. So, hey, when you're just trying to reach people, people are people. I don't care. God brings who He's going to bring. So
that's right.
It's all good. And we had talked about this being the New Year episode, and I love that the timing kind of worked out that way, so that it was the first episode of the new year. And we talked about a lot of different things that we might discuss or might be helpful for people And, not a big shock. We decided to talk about kind of how we plan and talk about our year, just hopefully to be an example. And as you well know, like we do not have this all figured out. I think we do it differently every year because of schedule and family and Christmas and trying to find time to, even if it's just at home, to talk. And this year has been no different. I think we've had about 15 small conversations about it as opposed to like a day away or a couple days away or whatever. But it's a fun thing to talk about, but it does. I think some people do get a little overwhelmed by it. What do you think?
I think, yes, it's overwhelming. I think the reason it's overwhelming is because of those changing circumstances every year. And so when I think about our year, even the planning we've tried to do, it's going to be like the best kind of messy. Like there's not really a way to put a deep structure around this year. And so with Instagram and social media bombarded with all of these tools and tricks and downloadable lists of things. And, everybody's got a system, but the truth of it is, and this, like most resolutions are done after week one. And so, I think the challenge for us has been creating a plan that is a framework, but then having enough flexibility within that when it changes, and it will change, we can change with it. And so, I think that's the big key in what we've learned about how to do this. We can build a plan all day, but Proverbs 16:9 says, the heart of man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps. So how do we plan to steward what we've been given and what we have to work with, but also leave lots of space for him to do what he's going to do, which doesn't always match what we're going to do.
No, and I love how you said that. That's really helpful because I do think people get locked in on a specific goal or a specific plan or whatever. And it really, I think as we kind of go through our list today, and again, we're just trying to model this. This is not the way you have to do it. It's not that it's some best practices I think we have found. But to Jinda's point, if you take anything away from this today, I just want you to have permission to do what you need to do and find your way with God's leadership, Holy Spirit leadership, to figure out what's important for you. And as you're going to learn, like we already know going into this year, we have a lot of crazy stuff happening that's not normal just with the stage of life we're in and kids and all the things that are going on and school and work and all the stuff. So it's a rolling plan. It's not a set. We don't do concrete around here. Sure. We do soft plaster at the most. So
it almost needs to be a monthly plan more than a 12-month plan. Yeah.
That's a good point. And also, I think we would both say we don't really use the word resolution. We've kind of moved away from that. These are more like, I would probably say it more like, what is God leading us to focus on, think about, pray about? It's definitely more spiritual and more thoughtful that way.
Yeah, I think so. It's more about the transformation he wants to bring and how can we partner with him, but also be useful, be where he wants us to be when he wants us to be there. And it's a good time. On that note, when you're thinking about your year, and, I think as long as I've known you, you've always had the ability to have a very structured plan. You're a goal setter. You love the full focus planner. Shout out Michael Hyatt. And so this has been a process for you of just how you have learned to not just set the goal, but, use it as a framework and create flexibility within that. So when you think about the year ahead, talk to the people about what's on your mind for 2026 and what you've been thinking about over these last few weeks and months of planning.
Yeah. As we get into our end of the year, like we were saying earlier, we have a lot of discussions about these things. Sometimes they're fragments. They're 5 minutes in the morning as we're getting ready to go to work, or an hour between one of our kids' families coming in, another kid. Like, it's just been, and this year's definitely been that way. Like, we really haven't had a lot of dedicated time. But we usually I think it's fair to say that we kind of break our things into big chunks. And sometimes it's based on things we know are coming, like some of the things you'll probably talk about later. Sometimes it's more general categories in life. And so for me, I usually just start that process. And by the way, I just want to give you a lot of credit here, because when I first met you, and of course, as people have heard my story, like I wasn't following Christ at all. So the things we're going to talk about today would never have been on my mind in this way during that stage of life. But it's a very different process for me now than it was now 9 years ago before we met ish. And so it's really important I just want to say that because this has been a new season for me over the last almost decade now of looking at this differently. And so really it's become much more of a spiritual practice of asking God very specific questions about, what do you want me to focus on? I've got ideas. I've got things that I feel like you've kind of given me or planted seeds, but like, I really want you to tell me, like, what do you want me to do? And so for me, that usually starts with kind of a word for the year. And we were talking about this the other day. Sometimes we get a solid word. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes he's got like a thing, a phrase, a keyword, whatever. Sometimes he doesn't. And we were trying to remember kind of where this came from. I don't know if we've heard it other places. I know at our church, our pastor or founding pastor now, I should say, Pastor Chris, he talks a lot about a word for the year for the church. And now Pastor Mark is doing the same thing. And so that's kind of been modeled for us. But as I've been going into this year, usually kind of that last quarter, 2 or 3 months, I start thinking about what that word is going to be. And so for me this year, that word is abide. From John 15, like abide in Christ. And that wasn't really on my radar before the end of the year. And I love how God kind of does this. And people sometimes when we talk about things like this, they'll say like, how do you hear that? Or how do you know? And honestly, it's not magic or rocket science. It's really just a focus on that with him in quiet time and devotion, meditation. And I just really start tuning in to like, what's he putting in front of me? And so the way Abide came to me this year was, I have a client. It's a nonprofit called Abide and Lead that was started by some friends of mine. And we've had the privilege of working with them to help create videos for it and websites. And we've been really involved in the process. And honestly, when we started, I was like, okay, that's a great name. You didn't really jump out at me or mean anything to me. But as we've filmed them and been in discovery calls with them and heard their founder talk about the passion and the vision, and I've heard him preach about this or teach about it a couple times. Like I was there filming, but I was like really moved by his passion for this phrase, that John 15 phrase or that verse. And I kind of started to notice that God kept bringing it up in different ways. And so as I started to think about, is this the word? Is this possible? I started to see it in a lot of other places. And somebody might say, well, if you're thinking about it, you're going to see it. Like if you think about a certain kind of car, you're going to see it. That's probably true, but tied in with quiet time and with talking to the Lord about it and praying and bathing it in prayer, it just became apparent to me, like, this is the thing. I started seeing it in magazines. I started hearing it in other messages from people disconnected from that. And it's just been one thing after the other. It just keeps coming up over and over and over again. And even after I made the decision and felt really sure that was the thing he wanted me to focus on this year, even a couple nights ago, I was reading kind of an end of the year magazine from one of the charities or ministries that we follow. There's a whole spread on abide. So that just has become my word for this year. And to me, what that simply means is I'm just having a new focus on what it means to abide in Christ, because I think there's so much fruit that comes out of that scripture, out of that lifestyle. And we could debate what do you have to do to abide in Christ? I mean, that's a whole nother talk. But for me, it's just really being aware of it, being mindful about it, letting that be kind of a guide that kicks me off on the daily, thinking about that and carrying that through kind of moment by moment throughout the day. And so for me, my whole year kind of usually starts with that mindset of what is my key word going to be this year? What does God want me to focus on? That sort of supersedes everything else, influences everything else, informs everything else. And so for me this year, it's going to be that word for sure.
It's going to be fun to watch that be your word.
Yeah.
Because, it's the strategy of the Lord is so interesting. So yeah. Stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah. And it wasn't something I was I wasn't anticipating that being the thing at all. And that's what I love about it is it's usually a bit of a surprise. Like, okay, so then like you're saying, like the question becomes then, okay, why is that the word? What do you want me to get out of it? And it sort of becomes kind of this journey of kind of extracting stuff out of it, kind of almost like a an archaeologist, like digging and getting stuff out of the way and trying to find out what it's all about. So I always kind of start there.
Yeah.
And I think that's also going to really inform the way that I'm praying too. And this isn't new. Like I'm aware of this, but like it puts a renewed focus for me on the intentionality of prayer, and especially what I would say in the sense of kind of going on the offense with my prayer. Not just defense, and there's a place for that too. But I think God really is challenging me to be more aggressive in my prayer life, more on the offense, or offensive toward the enemy would be a good way of saying that. And I'm excited. And of course, I've already started this, and I wasn't waiting on January 1. Like it's been kind of a process over the last few months. So I'm really excited to have that kind of renewed focus on what he's trying to show me through that. So that's how I always start. And then, like most people, family becomes another big topic. You know, like what do I need to be doing in my family as the head of my family, leading my family, supporting my family. And so for me, there's a couple of big things that are happening this year. One is, as you guys who are regular listeners are well aware, because I've talked about it quite a bit, I am going to be a grandfather. I've got 4 great step grandchildren who are my grandchildren, but my first biological grandchild will be born in February, and his name is Luke, and I'm extremely excited about it. In fact, we had his little kind of baby shower with his mom and dad yesterday, and it was awesome. And seeing all the clothes and all the little things and how everybody around them is so excited is really cool. But that's kind of awakened a new chamber in my heart, so to speak, that I wasn't aware of, or maybe it was closed off, or it was just waiting to be awakened at the right time. So a lot of stuff has come out of that, including how I'm interacting with my grandchildren that I already have. Because the thing, and I don't mind saying this because it's just who I am. I'm not great with kids. It's not my natural giftedness. They like me. They probably like the gruffiness or I don't know what it is, but that I don't know how to play with little kids. Like it's just not
you're
my
like
natural.
A bear.
Yeah. I'm not great at it. It's not my natural go-to move, but knowing I'm going to have a grandson and wanting it to be great and wanting to be everything he needs and getting every morsel out of it, I've been asking people around me who are grandparents, like, give me a best practice. Like, tell me that. And so as I've been picking up those things, and when our grandkids were here this last week, I really tried to start implementing, like getting on the ground with them. But it's not my natural move. I got on the ground. We built a toy thing together. I started asking them for kisses when I would do things for them. I just got into this different mindset, and the way they responded to me was totally different, which was awesome. And it's just really changing how I view all of that. And so preparing for being a better grandfather to the kids I've already got, being a great grandfather to this new one that's coming along. And of course, praying for him and praying for his parents and praying for our family around him, and all that it's a new thing that I didn't have before. And it's really been powerful to kind of step into that. And then one thing I'm doing that I'm really excited about around that too is, many of you might remember when Jim Shepard was a guest on the show, and Jim had this great thing he had done with his grandkids where he took a Bible, like a study Bible that had a lot of margins in it and stuff. And so as he did his daily Bible reading and going through the Bible in a year, he would do it with them specifically in mind to give that Bible to them in the future. So writing notes to them and unpacking scripture, and this is what the scripture means to me and what I've learned about it and all that kind of thing. And so that idea just blew me out of the water. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So a few days ago when January 1st rolled around, I got a Bible and started doing that. And it's been so fun because it's bringing the word to life again in a new way that I hadn't thought about it before when I think about how can I share this with him. And so that's been a fun project too. Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
Then my kids, my grown kids, my 3, that are here in town, I've been thinking a lot about how I can spend even more time with them. And this last year and a half, I forget when I started this exactly, but through some coaching from you and from Richard Mobley, who's been on the show as well, really tried to get more assertive about how I spend time with my kids. So we have an every other Sunday coffee that we almost never ever miss, and they love it and I love it. And it's just a time to spend together because they've got their busy lives. They're all adults and they're working, and we see them on special occasions and other times, but I wanted it to be more than that. I wanted to be kind of in our life together. So been spending more time with them, but I want to do even more of that, find a way to do some more lunches in between and take them to do stuff and maybe travel together. I don't know what it all looks like yet, but definitely trying to do more of that. And then the third thing under family for me is I really, Rivers, Jinda's youngest son, who's still at home with us, he's 15, and who I just love. And he's just like the greatest kid ever. I want to spend more time with him and try to be more intentional. I mean, we're together a lot, but like I want to take him and do things with just me and him and try to do some stuff like that, which I haven't done a great job of, honestly, in the past. So like, I'm really trying to be more mindful about that too. And so I think that family component, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge deal. And it's the thing that lasts,
That's right.
What you do with Jesus and what you do with your family really comes above all of these other categories that we've been talking about. So I think it's great. Yeah. It's a great plan.
Yeah. And that's why it's one of the first things, too, is always where I kind of start after the spiritual part. And then for me, like many, many people around the new year, fitness is always a kind of a thing. And again, if you've been listening, I've been on this journey for the last several months since July. And it's been a remarkable change in my life to be active, working out 3 times a week, getting with a group of guys. And Jinda will attest to, like, I don't miss unless I'm just out of town. Like, I love going. I hate to miss. Even if I have a good reason not to be there, I hate that I can't be there. And so it's become a great part of my life. And I just want to see that kind of go to a new level in the new year, because it's been basically 6 months now. And I led, it's a volunteer led group of guys. And so I took a turn leading a few weeks ago, and it went great. And, you're kind of nervous about it and scary, but it was great. And they're asking me to do more of that. And they're asking all of us to do it. It's not just me, but like I'm trying to step up and be more of a leader in that group. In fact, I just want to do a little promo while we're on this. I do a thing called F3. And so next Tuesday, the next episode that comes out is the president of F3. His name is Frank Schwartz. And we were able to do that interview a few weeks ago. And it's an amazing interview. He's a great story. And so I'd love and it's not a fitness focused thing. It's really just more about taking control of your life and making some good decisions and discipline and that kind of thing. So it's a great episode. I can't wait for you to hear it. So that's been a big change. How have you perceived that as I've been going through it? What's that been like for you to see me finally take this step?
Well, you said finally. I didn't say it, but
I'm saying it.
I think that it's been a great thing to watch. I think it's a lot more complicated than just saying, oh, you started going to a workout thing. Like, I think you overcame a lot to become a participant. And, the thing I always say about you is when you're on something, you're 100%. Like, if you're going to eat healthy, if you're going to do this, we're in 21 days of prayer and fasting, you're going to fast, you're all in. There is no compromising it. And that's been the case with this fitness journey. It's just this all in. It can be raining. It can be 20 degrees outside, pitch black, and you're there. And so it's been really inspirational to see it. And I think it's been great on so many levels for you, in addition to fitness, like the camaraderie and the consistency and the ability to make changes. It just, I think, has brought a lot of hope and a lot of vibrance to you that maybe wasn't there in the same way before. So that's been fun. Yeah.
And that's all very fair to say. Like, that's all true. And I will say for Blockbuster, that's my name in F3.
It's a story for another day.
Yeah. I think Frank and I actually talk about it. So you tune in next week and maybe you'll hear about that. I can't remember, but I think we got into it. But it's been fun. And I will say, it's working out is not a thing that I've always gravitated to. Even though I was an athlete when I was young, like, I'm not afraid of it, but it hasn't been part of my life. And the truth is, I don't like going to the gym. I don't like doing things alone. I need a buddy. I need a friend. I need a group. I need just something about that. And so when I made the decision to start doing something, and a friend had been inviting me to this, and Jinda actually reminded me, hey, Gray's been asking you to go to this thing, and I was like, oh yeah. And I thought that's probably what I need to do. But the group part of it, and it's not accountability, like they're not calling me, like if I don't count, like they're not on me, but just being part of it, the social aspect, it's fun. It goes by faster because we're all giving each other jabs and having fun and, messing around. That was a game changer for me. And so if anybody's on the fence, and again, I'm no expert, but I would just say, if that's your thing that you're worried about, find people to do it with. And that, to me, that was just a game changer. It really made all the difference in the world. So that's been a big thing. And I'm just going to continue that and continue to grow that. And then the other thing that's been, the category I tend to look at is just personal growth. And again, spiritual applies to every part of this, and the fitness obviously applies to this too, and so forth. But like for me, one thing that I've done this year that's been really good is, as many of you, again, I've talked about this, went on that big hiking trip back in September with a group, and it was really, really awesome. And I learned a ton. And that was with the group that Chris Bruno leads, which I was on the podcast a few episodes ago. If you didn't hear that, go back and listen to it. It's amazing. It's called Restoration Project. But the camping and the outdoor part and the learning some of those skills was like, I love that. I loved being out off the grid where we were dependent on nature and our own level of skills, which I was learning and I'm still learning. It wasn't just pulling up a car and parking and camping at the campsite, and that's fine. I'm not dissing that in any way or putting that down. But I needed the challenge of carrying a bunch of stuff and getting out in the woods and really being disconnected and being kind of self-reliant in that way. And so I loved it. And so a few weeks ago, a buddy of mine and I went and did a full weekend away, 2 or 3 days, and freezing cold, and it was awesome. And I was like, hey, I know how to make clean water. I know how to get firewood together. I know how to build a fire. I know how to do our food. Like, these are things I would not have been able to do a few months ago. And I loved bringing that expertise is a strong word. I love bringing those skills that I was learning and I'm still learning to the table and able to contribute. And then just being outside and just being out in nature and being around a campfire and all the things that go with that a lot of men love. And again, like the fitness thing, I would have told you 8 months ago, I don't want to go camping. I'm not interested in camping. It's not that I'm, to use the word Jinda loves, I'm not too bougie to do it, but I just didn't have any interest in it. I'd never had a great experience doing it. But now it's like, I can't get out enough. And so I can't wait to find the next opportunity. And I'm looking into the next few months, like, when can I go again? And when can I get away? And so, so I'm just actively pursuing that. And then part of that too, like I said a minute ago about the group things, there'll be times I'm sure where I'll go out by myself, but I want to find other people to do it with, because the guys I did the big trip with were from all over the country, so they're not here. So who can as I've just been talking about it, because I'm passionate, I'm excited, people are like, oh, I love to camp. So David, who went with me a few weeks ago, I didn't even know he liked to camp. He's like, oh yeah, let's go camping. So we went, had a blast. And he had some gear, and he's like,
yes, if you're listening to this and you like to camp, please reach out to him and schedule a camping trip. Please.
Yeah.
Do it for me. Just schedule a trip.
I was actually going to say that. I was going to say, hey, by the way, if you're somewhere relatively close to Birmingham and you like to camp, reach out, let me know. Yeah, because I'm just looking for some people to do it with that I can learn from and grow with and have great conversations and talk about what God's doing in our life and, all that stuff. So that has been a big new world to me, and I'm super excited to explore that a little bit more. And then the final thing I'll say, and then I'm going to let you talk for a little bit, is especially as an entrepreneur, my business is a big part of my life. It's a big part of what I focus on. This podcast is part of it, my regular company, all the things that I'm doing. And so, there's always a lot of prayer about that. And so one of the things I'm taking into this new year, again, it's not new, but just a reminder that God has put in my heart, is really praying aggressively, assertively, proactively about how do you want to grow this? What do you want to do with the podcast, with my other work? And really it's about, I've been doing this a long time. I can go out and drum up business. I can go find new clients, but that's not how I want to do this. I want God to bring me the right people at the right time with the right projects that we can really add value to. Usually we're doing a lot of nonprofit work, a lot of ministries, a lot of even some of the corporate work we're doing. They're very kingdom-minded businesses. I'm not saying I wouldn't do something else, but like that's what I really love to do. And he's been so faithful this last year to bring so many opportunities. And I just want more of that. And I'm not talking about money. We need that and he'll provide, but like, I just want to work with the right people and do the thing that he's uniquely created me and the people that I work with to do. So super excited about that. And that might be a revelation to some of you people out there who do a lot of your own business, but like, I'm telling you, I can't do it without God leading the way. I just can't do it. He's got to show me how and who and when and where and why. And I've done it the other way, and I'm just telling you, it's much better when you let him take the lead.
Agreed.
So that's kind of my big high level list. And as you're hearing this, again, I don't have a lot of resolutions. I'm not setting a bunch of like detailed things. These are big categories that I'm just trying to get better with some small steps through the year. And I think you'll hear there's not a lot of plans attached to this. There's not a lot of like, it's got to be ABC. It's just like, I'm moving in this direction. God, show me how to go. It's really a kind of day by day spirit led, show me what to do. So those are some things I'm thinking about. I'd love for everybody to hear kind of what you're working on too, and see kind of a different side of this.
Yeah. Before we get into my things, I just want to say that whole list that everybody just heard, remember that the word for the year is abide. So stay tuned for updates on how the abiding is going with so many great things that you're thinking about. I think it's awesome. I don't have a word this year. If you're out there and you're one of those people that says, oh, I don't hear a word, I don't see a repeated word, nothing's jumping off the page, I'm your girl, like that. I think I used to kind of want to engineer a word that was the way I wanted the year to go. And that doesn't work. That just works as well as anything else that we're doing, where we're kind of telling God to come alongside our plans, although he cares about that. He deeply cares about it, but no specific word yet. And I think what he's inviting me into this year is more presence, different from abiding, maybe not, but more of just how to bring him into every moment and how to acknowledge him in every moment. And so I don't have a word, or a big focus, but that is a continued focus that I've had for a few years now. And I don't want to do anything apart from him. So that's going to be fun. But there are some updates that I think are really cool. In addition to adding Luke as a fresh baby to our family, we are adding an incredible... I got to say,
Jinda loves a fresh baby.
I do love a fresh baby. Yes, I do love a fresh baby. And we're having lots of them on my team right now. And so
that's right.
Imagine my delight. But in addition to that, we are adding an incredible, the most incredible son-in-law as Sarah's preparing to marry Sebastian. And this is just kind of the light of my life right now is these two and their planning and their wedding that's coming up, and it's coming up soon. It's in March. And so we're doing a lot of things and talking about a lot of details, and it's in another country. So that adds a special new facet to what we're up to. And so that's happening.
A special opportunity,
and we're really excited.
To grow.
Special opportunity to grow and be flexible and learn new things. So we're off to a great start in 2026, but y'all, he's wonderful. He's so wonderful. And I was FaceTiming with him a little bit earlier today, and I'm just marveling at the way God adds people to families that are exactly what the family needs. And so I hope you're celebrating those kinds of things in your family too. So that's happening. I have one more year of school left in my master's degree, which is crazy to even be saying those words, but it'll make for a busy year that with a lot of focus. Rivers will start driving. So he's going to turn 16, and he's a really good driver. Like I would say, we haven't been too afraid other than that one mailbox thing. But other than that, it's been great. He's doing a great job.
He is doing great. And by the way, on the master's thing, I just want to say, because we have some other friends that work with you and work at the church who are kind of in a similar program that graduated this December. And every time I saw one of their pictures pop up, I was just like, I cannot wait for her to, because we're planning on going to the school in Florida where that this is all through, and watching you walk and put on the cap and gown, and like I am there for it, because you've worked so hard, and it has been a lot more than you kind of thought it would be when you started. So
yeah, it's been a whole lot more. I always say to people, when I was in college the first time, we didn't have computers. So for this audience, most of this audience who is older and listening to this, that's just, I had a big learning curve. And it's been good. It's been really a great challenge. And then the other big challenge, I think, for me right now is just this season with 4 of my 5 children being grown. A couple will be married now. They live everywhere. And trying to figure out this constant challenge. Susan Tucker talked about it in an interview. I don't think you've put that one up yet, but around parenting adult children and how that role has to shift and how we have to shift with it. And so that will be my work to do in 2026, along with making sure that you get on enough camping trips. So it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. But, I've just learned every year when I do sort of the inventory and look back at the year before, so many things happen that I never saw coming. People we got to meet, things we got to do. So it really does go back to that Proverbs 16:9. Like, I'm way more interested in God establishing my steps than me putting out a bunch of plans. But, those are some things we'll be working on. It's going to be super fun. And a dynamic year for sure.
Yeah, it is going to be an incredible year, and really, really exciting. And as Jen and I typically go through this process, again, however it looks, and this year it was very broken into a lot of small pieces, and some years it's more like, let's go on a trip and take 3 days and plan, whatever it is. I think a lot of the benefit of the process is in asking each other questions. And she's really better at that than I am, but, and we'll find stuff online and other resources. Like, we're not inventing all this stuff. Like, we find it other places, but really trying to ask each other questions that sort of frame things in a different way. It's easy to go, okay, what's my resolution going to be? What's the new thing I'm going to do this year? What's the goal I want to set? Those are all fine, but we've all done that. But we came up with some questions, over the last few weeks. I don't know where they came from exactly, but we found these 3 questions that really, they just ask it's sort of the same, but it's a little different twist. And it's really helped us think about things in a different way when you think about transitioning from one year to the next. And they've been really powerful.
Yeah, I don't know. It was some version of Instagram questions, so if these are your questions, then we're giving you credit. I just am always amazed at the overwhelming amount of information and plans and all the things that people want you to buy, or they want to coach you. They want to do all these things. And so I'm not sure where these came from either, but I loved these because they weren't just looking back at 2025, but really about, okay, what are the key shifts? What is the thing that we really want to shift for 2026? And so, I think these are fun. So the first one, you want me to talk about what they are?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll ask you. Okay. The first one is, what do you need to stop doing in 2026?
Yeah.
Good question.
And by the way, we intentionally haven't talked about these answers. So we're kind of doing this live in the call. So she has no idea what I'm going to say, and I have no idea what she's going to say.
And that is a true statement so often.
That's true. So what do I need to stop doing in 2026? I've thought about this a lot, and I don't know about other people out there, but I know one thing that we both are constantly sort of dealing with, and it's a great problem to have, but like, everybody wants to have coffee and go to lunch and go to breakfast and come have a meeting and all that. And that is awesome. And we love that. And we are made for that. And we feel privileged to be able to ever speak into anybody's life or pray for them or encourage them. But I have found that there's sometimes when that happens, when I know I probably should say no to this particular person, not for any reason about them, nothing wrong with it. It's just, I just know in my spirit, like, this isn't probably the best use of my time. It's probably not the best use of their time. There's probably somebody better suited to talk to them. But I love doing it. And so I usually just say yes. And I just go with it. And there's all the times I'll get halfway through one of those meetings and I'll be like, I should have said no to this because I'm not the right person for them. I'm not going to be able to help them the way somebody else could. It's not that I don't want to spend time with them. It's just in this moment, and it could be a good friend who I normally will say yes to and should say yes to. But in this thing, I should have listened to what God was telling me to do and said no. And not just no, but a no, but let me help you go in a different direction, contribute to their process, but meeting with me is not the thing to do. Let me just help you find the right person. And so I think that's something that I'm very mindful of. And I want to stop saying yes automatically, even though my heart is always for those people, and say no when I need to say no, but also, like I said, no, but let me help you go in the better direction for you. And that's really just a spirit-led thing for me. And kind of listening to that still small voice and that little nudge in my spirit that says, let me not just automatically say yes, but let me really think and pray about this to help them get what they need out of the process and help me be more available for somebody that I can actually help or that God might use me for. So anyway, that's what I'm going to try to stop doing in 26. How about you?
Yeah, that's a good answer. Mine is not nearly as deep as that, but what I really feel like I want to work on this year is stopping the overproduction. Essentially, everything I do, I'm trying to do it at 100% capacity. It's not sustainable. It's not even necessary. There's just something in me that drives a really high level of production. And that's helpful in some areas of life, but it definitely isn't always requested, by the Holy Spirit. A lot of it's just me trying to do my thing a certain way. And when I look back at 2025, I see what that overproduction cost us. I see what it cost our family. I see what it cost my sleep, my health, my fitness, my time with Jesus, all the things. And so I'm going to try to be a little better. No promises, but that's going to be a focus. I think just living in a little bit less urgency to be at 100% capacity at all times. So if you're out there and you're a praying person, pray for me in this. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. And I'll say, if you're an Enneagram person, she's a 3 and she shows up really, really well in everything she does. And I think
really
that's what she's
3.
kind of talking about. She's a great 3. And
I'm a no-wing 3.
Yeah. And, in my business, we have a thing that we talk about in the creative world that says every piece is not a masterpiece. And some projects don't require the absolute, I don't say the best that I have, but they don't require 100 hours of effort because it's not a 100-hour project. It needs 50 and it's good enough for what it needs to do and it's successful. And it's hard to say no to those things. It's hard to learn how to do that. But when you do recognize this requires that kind of effort, this doesn't, it helps you do this much, much better. And this is plenty good enough and everybody's happy, so it's just kind of learning that vibe. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great answer. And I'm all for that for you.
Thanks.
So the second question, again, just a great way of thinking about things in a different way. The second question was, what new qualities or skills do you need to develop or refine? Maybe there's something you're already working on. What new qualities and skills do you need to develop or refine in 2026? What's your thought about that?
I think there are a couple things. First is just to tie into the first question. It's just around the skill of boundary setting. And I know that, Henry Cloud is coaching all of us. Boundaries remain tricky. They do, for just like the reasons you just mentioned about with whom to meet and when to meet and what, we're constantly trying to discern where those boundaries need to be. And so I think for me, a big focus both at work and in my school and in my family life is just around slowing down a little bit. I need to learn to slow down and realize, and it's all tied in to that production mindset. It's just slow down, think, create space. Emotional intelligence would call it self-management. manage myself to go a little bit more slowly. And that sounds like such a ridiculous thing for some people who are like, oh, that's not a hard thing. It's a really hard thing for me.
Yeah.
I really want to say yes to a whole lot of things, and learning to learn the more important thing. Like you said, what's a 50-hour job? What's a 10-hour job? What's a 100-hour job? And so, yeah, going to be dusting off the boundaries books and workbooks this year for sure.
Yeah.
How about you? New skills. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's sort of similar. It definitely is informed by question one, for sure. For me, it's the extension of what I was saying a second ago, in really trying to be more, hey, before I answer this, let me just take it to the Lord. And sometimes you can do that in a moment, like
wisdom.
When you're walking. Yeah. But just, even if it's just 5 minutes, like just take a break, take a step back and process. We used to talk about this a lot at the Leadership Institute at Highlands College, but it's like when we were developing leaders and raising up people, and I would preach this all the time, and I'm finding myself, I need to listen to this lesson. The lesson is your no is somebody else's yes. And sometimes I had a call the other day with a friend has a ministry he's working on, and he's transitioning to a different thing and trying to think about leaders and all this kind of stuff. And he's having a hard time letting it go because he cares so much about it. There's nothing wrong with it. But his continuing to say yes is not allowing somebody else to say yes. And so for me, it's like I said a second ago, being able to say, hey, I'm probably not the right person, but this person could probably help you, or let me pray for you and actively. So, but it's not just in meeting with people. It's in client work. It's in our marriage and how we choose to spend our time. It's a lot of that kind of stuff of just going, you know what, let me just take a beat and see what God has to say about this. See if I feel anything. Yeah. And look, God doesn't care about care is the wrong word. It's not a lot of stuff. He's just like, just do what you want to do. Like, it's fine. And that's true. But sometimes it needs a stop and, hey, let's go this way instead. And I need to get better at doing that. Sometimes I'm really good at it, but I'm not consistent enough. And I don't bring it into the smaller things. I think I do it good with the big things, but not so much the small stuff. And maybe people relate to this, but like as an entrepreneur, as a go-getter, as a just get stuff done guy, the challenge I have is like, I got it. I'll take care of it. That's a gift and a skill and a talent and whatever, however you want to call it. But I need to knock that down a peg, and it's always got to be subjective to what God says first. And that's a thing I really need to work on.
That's good. It's really good. All right. Last question. I like this one. What's a win from 2025 you want to safeguard, protect, or nourish in 2026? Yeah.
I'm not saying this because it's you, but I think in our relationship and our marriage this last year, we've made some really big strides in a lot of areas. We kind of entered this last year with saying, hey, everything is really, really good. How can we take it to great? How can we take it up a notch? I'm not saying we're there in every area. We're certainly not. There's always room to grow and improve. But I think we both have brought a lot to bear on that and have been really, really mindful and giving each other a lot of space to kind of move in that and grow at our own pace and all the stuff. And that's between us. I'm not going to get into the details, but like, it's just, that has been a big win, I think, this last year. And I want to carry that into the next year or this new year and really continue to see that grow. One of the biggest compliments to me, to us, but that I perceive is when somebody will be with us that we're having dinner with or whatever. And there was one of our young college students was with us a few weeks ago, and he wanted to hear our story. So we were kind of telling him all this background stuff. And he was just like, and you guys are just perfect for each other. Like the way you operate together. And that doesn't happen automatically. Like we are well suited, but the part that he's perceiving is a lot of sweat and tears and work and trial and error and all that. Yeah. And it really meant a lot to me that he recognized there's something really cool happening with you guys. The way you all are together is just really, special. And to me, that the oneness that's part of that, and the togetherness and the unity that's part of that. We have two different careers and different lives, and we don't do everything together 24/7. We're not those people, and that's fine if you are, but we, in the things that matter, we are very much in alignment. And where we're not in a perfect alignment, we're constantly working on it, talking about it, praying about it, challenging each other. And I feel like that's really come a long way this last year, and I want to continue to see that grow, because it impacts every other part of our life, obviously. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, mine's in a similar way. And you just said a lot of things I don't need to re-say, but I think one thing that we did well that sort of led to maybe part of that outcome for 2025 is that we were protective over the calendar. And I think it's so easy to approach the calendar in a reactive way. Where's time? Let's just fit this thing in. But the approach to sit down at the beginning of the month and say, okay, here's the 1.5 day period where we have nothing going on, or here's a night where we have nothing. And this includes Rivers, like, let's none of us schedule for this night. Let's have a night at home. Like, let's have a night together and just rest. And, you can go get the popcorn from the Vestavia movie theater, and we just can just be a family. And I think that is something that sounds so simple, but if you're not looking at your calendars in a way that is really proactive, try it out, because you're going to look forward to those days on the calendar. Even if you have a couple of really full weeks, you're going to look forward to that day that you have earmarked just for time with your family, doing something that you love. So it fits in with yours, no surprise, but that's definitely want to keep that. I think we made great progress there in 2025. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And I think that's real talk for people. I mean, a lot of people in the marriage space and all that stuff, and they'll say stuff, and this is good. They'll say stuff like, you got to have a date night every week, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And that's a great goal to go for. And we would if we could. But the reality is there are months where, like when you said a day and a half out of a month, that's not an exaggeration. Like sometimes it's that little. And sometimes it's more. Sometimes we have a day, maybe each week, that's a little bit less crazy. But sometimes it is, you have to fight for that much. And again, I just want to encourage people, if they're in that same boat of going, hey, it's not that easy. And we totally get that and totally understand that sometimes you have to really fight and scrap and scrounge for one night here or there, one day, one whatever.
Yeah.
Cause it's just a reality. And we only have one kid at home. Like, I don't know how we ever could have done it with more kids. And we have both done it with more kids, but like the amount of time in the car and getting him all the places he needs to go, that alone is a big time commitment. And of course we're absolutely committed to that. It's worth it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
But the scheduling and her in school on top of her very busy job, and me being, an entrepreneur and having a business, and I mean, that's just reality sometimes. So fighting for that is definitely worth it.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
Well said. Well said.
Well, this has been super fun. And I, like we did before we started recording, we were praying. I really pray that this helps and encourages anybody. Cause again, we're not the model people for this, but we're just working on it like everybody else and trying to figure it out. And I hope you, maybe get a sense of permission to, hey, it's okay to not be perfect at it, but to keep working, keep trying. And any excuse to spend an hour with you in the middle of a work day, like we just said, that rarely happens. We don't do lunches.
It just worked because I was here at 7. Yeah. But it was good. Thanks for having me on for my final podcast.
Oh, no.
Good to see you, everybody. Yes. Hello and goodbye. But no, I love that you love the podcast, and I love that your listeners are listening to it. And hopefully we've made you smile today, at least. Big takeaway is we don't have to take ourselves too seriously. That's right. Be you.
Just be you. Well, I love you. I hope you have a great day. And everybody out there, we'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. Bye, everybody.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I never get tired of talking to Jinda Clement. And that's probably a good thing, being as that she is my wife and we are married. But she is just a fountain of wisdom and knowledge, and has such a heart for God. And as her husband, I can just say in all humility, a heart for me, which it just blows me away. And I'm so blessed to have her in my life. Hope you got as much out of that as I do. And that's just a little glimpse into the sort of conversations that we're having all the time, really pushing each other, challenging each other to grow. And I'm excited to do more of that in this new year. Hey, before I forget, again, if you're engaging on audio or watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment, and make sure you're getting updates on when those episodes are coming out. And speaking of new episodes, I'm super excited about this whole month of January. We have some amazing things coming up. So I'm going to give you kind of a detailed schedule. Next Tuesday, we have episode 26, and it's Frank Schwartz. Frank is the president of F3. F3 is the workout group that I'm part of. They have, I think he said, about 80,000 members across North America and around the world. I know just in my city alone, there's like 40 different tribes that are meeting in parks and parking lots and high school tracks and just all over the place. And we meet early in the mornings, and we call it the gloom. It's rain or shine, hot or cold. And I've definitely experienced all of those things in my 6 months or so, 7 months now of doing that. But Frank has an amazing story. He leads F3 Nation as a volunteer, and he has a personal story of transformation about how God has led him into this stage of life, what he's doing. And I'm telling you, it's an amazing conversation. So please don't miss that. Look forward to that next Tuesday. And then after that, we have Chris the Hollander. Chris is an online coach for women who are 50 plus. And Chris has an amazing story as well. And these are people who do a lot of fitness things, but we don't really talk about fitness too much. It's a little bit part of the conversation, but it's really more about life, health, the health of your life, how they coach and lead people, how they're fulfilling their calling and their purpose. And you really want to hear her and her story, especially for the ladies in our audience. It's an incredible thing, and I can't wait for you to be challenged and inspired by her. And then on the fourth week of this month, we have a really special guest. It's Tim and Susan Tucker. Tim and Susan are really good friends of Jinda and mine. Jinda and Susan have been friends since their 20s. They've gone through so much together, and Tim is who I did my big hike with and with the Restoration Project back in September, and he was who invited me on that. And Tim and Susan are in a great season of life where their kids are now out of the house, empty nesters. One's married, one's in grad school, but they've also had a really unique journey of taking care of her aging parents over the last several years. And this is something that I have no experience with. Jinda has no experience with. Unfortunately, our parents both all passed in the years before this. And so we've never had to go through that. And a lot of you, though, are experiencing that in different ways. And the things that they share, the insights that they give, the tenderness from their heart on how they talk about this, I'm telling you, it's incredible. It ministered to me, and I'm not even in that situation right now. I was really blown away by it. And how God is speaking to them through that process. So you're not going to want to miss that. So those are just a few of the episodes that are coming up. Many more after that are coming that are super exciting. Can't wait for you to hear about all those. Welcome to 2026 and the episodes to come on the Age of Lions podcast. Have a great day.